Therefore, you have more female in the world as compared to the male. India is one of the countries, besides a few of the Asian countries and Africa, in which the female population is more than the male population. And the reason I've given you, because more than 1 million fetuses are, female fetuses are being aborted every year. And because of the high rate of infanticide, female infanticide, that's the reason that female are less than the male. Otherwise, you stop this evil practice and within a few decades you'll have that the male population will become much less than the female population. In New York alone, there are 1 million females more than male. In U.S.A. alone, there are 7.8 million females more than male. And out of the male population of New York, 1/3 are gay. They are sodomized. That means they can't find female partners. And there are more than 25 million gays in America. In Britain alone, there are more than 4 million females more than male. In Germany alone, there are 5 million females more than male. In Russia alone, there are 7 million females more than male. And God knows how many million females are there more than the male in this whole world. If suppose my sister happens to live in America, and suppose the market is saturated, every man has found a female partner for himself. Still, there will be more than 30 million female in U.S.A. alone who will not be able to find husbands. And suppose my sister who is living in America happens to be amongst the unfortunate ladies who has not found a partner yet. The only option remaining for her is that she either marries a husband, she marries a man who already has a wife, or she becomes public property. There is no third option. And believe me, I've posed this question to hundreds of non-Muslims, and everyone opted for the first. No one so far has opted for the second. But there are some people who are smart and who said that I would prefer my sister remaining a virgin. Believe me, medical science tells us that a man or a woman cannot remain a virgin throughout her life. She cannot remain a virgin throughout her life without indulging in illicit sex or sexual perversions, because daily sex hormones are being liberated in the body. And those great men who claim to have renounced the world, for example, the sages and the sons who go to mountains and Himalayas, behind them you find the Devdas is going. For what? According to a report, out of the priests and the nuns of the Church of England, the majority indulge in fornication and homosexuality. There is no option, there is no third option. The only option is that you marry a husband who already has a wife, or you become public property.
In continuation of that question, we have got a question on the slip. Can you enumerate the various conditions in which polygamy is permitted? This is from Sister Samina. Can you enumerate the various conditions in which polygamy is permitted?
The sister asked the question that can you enumerate the various conditions in which polygyny is permitted? The only condition which allows a man to marry more than one wife is that he should do justice between the two wives. If he can do justice between the 2 or 3 or 4 wives that he has, he is allowed to take more than one wife. If he can't do justice, he should suffice with only one wife. But there are several conditions in which it is more advisable for a man to take more than one wife. One of the examples I gave is because of the surplus women which can't find husbands. Islam has allowed polygyny to protect the modesty of the woman. There are several other conditions. For example, suppose a young lady she gets married, and within maybe approximately a few months of a marriage, she has an accident and she gets handicapped and she cannot satisfy the husband. The only option for the husband is that he either keeps his first wife who's handicapped and takes another wife, or he divorces the first wife and marries a new wife. I'm telling you, suppose your sister happens to be that unfortunate lady who gets handicapped. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer your brother-in-law to divorce her and to marry a new wife, or would you prefer your brother-in-law to keep that first wife and to take another wife? There are situations in which the wife can become seriously ill. She can have a disease in which she will not be able to look after the children or look after the husband. Under such conditions, it is more advisable that that wife shares the husband with another lady who will not only look after the husband, will also look after her as well as the children. Many people may argue that why can't you keep a maidservant or a nurse who look after the children? I do agree with you. You can very well keep a maidservant who will look after your children and your wife. But who will look after you then? Very soon that maidservant will start looking after you also. So the best option is that you keep your first wife and take another wife and treat both of them equally. There can be conditions such as after several years of marriage, you have got no children. And maybe both the husband and wife, they yearn for a child. The wife can very well give permission to the husband to marry another wife and they can have more children. Some people may argue that why don't you adopt a child? Islam does not allow adoption, for which there are several reasons. I won't go into that. The only option remaining here is that he either divorces the first wife and takes another wife if he wants children, or he keeps the first wife and takes another wife and treats both of them equally. I hope these are sufficient reasons.
The next question from the brother on the left.
My name is Ilyas and I'm a student. The question is, can a woman become the head of the state?
A bit louder, please.
Can the woman become the head of the state?
The brother asked the question, can a woman become the head of a state? There is no text in the Qur'an which I know which states that a woman cannot become a head of a state. But there are several hadiths. For example, one hadith says that the people who have the leader as a woman will not succeed. Some of the scholars say that this only refers to a particular time in which this hadith was related, especially at the time when Persia had the leader as a queen. The other scholars say no, it refers to all the times. Let's analyze whether it is advisable for a woman to be a head of a state or not. If a woman is head of a state in an Islamic country, she may have to lead the congregational prayers. And if a woman leads the congregational prayers, in Islam, we adopt several postures like qiyam, ruku, sujood, standing, bowing and prostration. If a lady is doing that in front of a gents congregation, I'm surely it will cause disturbances in the prayers. If she happens to be head of a state of a modern society like the one we have today, many a times the head of a state has to have meetings with other heads of states which are usually gents. And many a times they have closed door meetings in which no one else is allowed. And if a woman has a closed door meeting with another gent, Islam does not permit her to do that. Islam does not permit a woman to be alone with a nahmaram, with a foreign male in closed doors. Islam does not permit intermingling of sexes. The head of the state many times receives over publicity by video shooting and by photography, and many times It involves in close proximity